Welcome to the More Than Insurance podcast. Today, we have the privilege of sitting down with an extraordinary individual whose life's journey is filled with resilience, leadership, and groundbreaking accomplishments. Dr. Lloyd W. Black, an educator, a trailblazer, and dedicated public servant, has left an indelible mark on the educational landscape of Arkansas. Born in Eudora, Arkansas, and the youngest of 13 children, Dr. Black defied the odds by becoming the only one in his community to obtain a higher education, ultimately earning advanced degrees which shaped the future of countless students. He has decades of service as a principal and an advocate for education reform, and he also led the Arkansas Retired Teachers Association. Beyond his contributions to education, Dr. Black has been a proud and dedicated member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated for an incredible 71 years, embodying the principles of brotherhood, scholarship, and service. His commitment has been evident through his leadership and active participation in multiple chapters, leaving a lasting impact on the Sigma Brotherhood and his community. On a personal level, Dr. Black was blessed to share 57 years of marriage with his beloved wife, Elsie Black. Together, they built a loving family, raising their daughter, Deborah Mitchell, and cherishing their granddaughter, Miranda. With a lifetime of experiences, from serving in the military to pioneering changes in the Arkansas school system, Dr. Black's story is one of perseverance and impact. At 95 years old, he continues to inspire through his wisdom, dedication to education, and unwavering commitment to service. We are honored to welcome Dr. Lloyd W. Black to the More Than Insurance podcast. I hope you enjoy the interview. We're here with Dr. Lloyd W. Black today to talk to him about his story and the accomplishments that he's made in his life. So today, I am so pleased to have none other than my uncle, Dr. Lloyd W. Black. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm doing okay.
Well, good. Well, I wanted to interview you, try to get an idea of what you went through in your life and some of your accomplishments, and to let some of the young people know there's a lot of ground you've traveled. And the thing about it is, you're 95 years old. The Lord has blessed you to reach this point, and fitting for us to sit down and pick your brain about life experiences.
My name is Lloyd Wilman Black. I am the last sibling of Adolph and Rose Black, born in Eudora, Arkansas, the former okra capital of the world and the former catfish city of Arkansas. Being born in the rural, I did not go to school in the regular elementary as we know it today. I went to a Baptist church building for my elementary education. They called it a one-room school where the teacher, a fine lady, Mrs. Davis, was my teacher. Leaving there, I went to junior high school, Oak Grove, Louisiana, and it was called Cedar Grove Junior High School. From there, I went to Magnolia Training School, which was a senior high school, and that was located in Pioneer, Louisiana. In those days, it did not matter whether you lived in Arkansas or Louisiana. You went to the school nearest to you or the most convenient. The school in Oak Grove was more convenient than going to school in my hometown. It is somewhat surprising after I learned later that out of the boys and girls in my community, I was the only one who finished college and went on to graduate school and had a career.
Let me stop you for a second. How many brothers and sisters did you have?
At least 13, and I am the last of the siblings of my parents. During those days, most of the families were large, so it was not uncommon to have 10, 12 children. And I am the baby or the last sibling of my brothers and sisters. One brother paved the way in education, and that was Dr. Luther H. Black, who had to leave Arkansas to get an education beyond college level. and it is strange but a fact that he did his graduate work in Columbia University in New York, and the state of Arkansas paid for it because he could not go to school beyond the college level in Arkansas. I began my college education at AM&N College. It is now called the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. That is where I met one of the finest group of men in the world, the men that belonged to Beta Sigma Incorporated.
Let me ask you this. You got the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff.
Yes.
How did you get with the Sigmas? Did you have a friend that you knew that was a Phi Beta Sigma? Or did you just see them on campus? And how did that happen?
I lived across the street from the college, and in that apartment building, there were some of the brothers of Phi Beta Sigma. They chose me to join the fraternity. I don't know what they saw in me, but they chose me, and I went through Beta Theta and was made in 1954. After that, I was a member of Gamma Psi Sigma in Pine Bluff for 20 years, and then I was recruited to Little Rock as a principal, and I joined Mu Beta Sigma chapter of Phi Beta Sigma. I have been very active in the fraternity, both in Pine Bluff and in Little Rock, all of my professional career. The brothers in Mu Beta Sigma have honored because of my participation.
Let's go back. Some of the things we talked about previous was when you're getting ready to graduate from high school, and then all of a sudden you got drafted. Was it 1948 that you got drafted?
No, I was in college. I went to Arkansas Baptist College for 2 years and received the AA degree, and then I transferred to AM&N College in order to do the last 2 years of college work. It was at AM&N when I was drafted into the Army, and from there I did my training. I was also in leadership school to become an officer, but since officers were losing their lives so fast, I did not really want to go to Korea at that time, and it was through a young white friend who helped 3 other of the white friends who were soldiers, and I to pursue another course which prevented us from going to Korea, and we did.
You told me about you had a different view of white people after getting drafted.
Yes.
Can you talk about that?
Yes, I can. My best friend was an Italian young man from Buffalo, New York, and we were like brothers. But I slept in the barracks between 2 soldiers from Mississippi and Alabama. My bunk was between the 2, and I learned not to trust your assumption that all whites were against all blacks. I discovered that these 2 young men were as fine as I had met anywhere, black or white. That changed my whole attitude about race relations. That experience prepared me to have good relations with all people based upon that experience. And when I went to graduates, I finished college and went to graduate school at the University of Arkansas at Fayetteville, and I was the only black person in class doing my work towards the master's and even 2 summers after that. And then, of course, I didn't let that stop me. I pursued courses at the University of Texas at Austin, Borough, ASU in Arkansas, UCA in Arkansas,
Central Arkansas, yeah.
and the University of Arkansas in Little Rock, and finally Southern University in Baton Rouge.
So let me take you back to University of Arkansas. You were doing your graduate work, and you talked about an English professor.
No, the foundation for that came from my junior high principal, Mr. Dorsey. While I was in the 8th grade, he taught me English. And upon that foundation that he laid for me, it carried me through senior high school, college, as well as graduate school. And my ears will detect whenever English is misused. In these days, I do not try to correct people, but he taught me how to speak and why you're saying certain things. And of course, Mr. Dorsey, my junior high principal, I give him all the credit for that. My elementary teacher in a one-room school prepared me for junior high. The first year in junior high, I didn't have to study very much because she had taught it to me without my knowing what she was doing. She had me to read extensively, and I was a pretty good reader because I made the first and the second grade in 1 year. And then when she would give me materials, it didn't take me long to deal with them. And when she called upon me, I would go and present it and think I was through. I would be able to do my stuff in the classroom, throwing spitballs or whatever, but she was smarter than me. As soon as I would give an oral report, she would have me to write the report and then present it to her verbally. So that was the background for that. But the race relations was never a problem for me because of my experience in the Army.
So let's go back one to when you first voted, and we was talking about the poll tax back then.
Yeah, in order to vote, it was common in the South to prevent blacks and any other disqualified group from voting, and you had to pay a poll tax. When they finally decided that you could vote, you had to pay a poll tax. I don't remember if it was $1 or $2, but if you didn't pay your poll tax, you couldn't vote. You could present your receipt to show that you had paid it when you go to vote, and that was evidence that you were eligible.
So you had to pay that at the county auditor's office, at the county clerk's office?
You would pay it wherever they would designate. See, if you didn't live in the city, they would have designated places. That is, if you didn't live in a city where the courthouse was, they would have different locations where you could do that. Some teachers lost their jobs because they refused to pay the poll tax in order to vote. But that is what happened. And you had to put on the form what organizations you belong to. And if you put the wrong organization on there, they may find some discrepancy in your voting. That was the way it was in the South, especially where I grew up.
We tackled a little bit of military. Let's go into the last part of military where you talked about the sergeant, and then when you decided to go ahead and get out, we had to make a decision between a career.
No, I was sent to Alaska.
Okay.
And when I got to Alaska, I was in a composite service company. The ordnance was my section. And short while after I got there, I suppose they reviewed my records and discovered that I had 3 years of college. So I was pulled out of the field into the office where I was named I&E, Information and Education Non-Commissioned Officer. I also was assigned to the post office. I was the mail clerk for my company. And while being that, the sergeant over me was chewing me out for not making 100. He had only achieved the 8th grade, but he had been in the Army some 30 years and had a lot of stripes. And I could not stand for an 8th grader to chew me out for not making 100 when I was making 95. So I decided that I was going to get out as soon as my time was up. And that was my intention in the beginning. And so I got out of the Army, and went back to college and finished and began teaching in Brinkley, Arkansas, my first job. And from teaching social studies for 6 years, I was asked to be principal at Clarendon, and I had no idea. I didn't have the aspiration at that time to be over that many people, so my friend was going to work on his doctorate, so he asked me if he could put my name in as an applicant. So I never filled out an application. But anyway, this way, the school and superintendent decided that I was the person for that school. And the two questions they would ask you is, one, will you accept the salary? And I said no. And two, will you be able to get around, get along with the people in the community? And I responded, I do not know, but I will try. So the new superintendent that was coming in to replace the old one told him, give him what he's asking for. I became principal and was there 8 years. During the time when I was there, the school had a rating of C. During my tenure there, when I left the school, it was rated A. And while there 8 years, I changed the culture of Eastern Arkansas. We had a split term, meaning 2 months of summer school. You close, pick cotton, and then you get Zoom in the fall.
There was no 12-month pay cycle. There was a 10-month or 9-month pay cycle.
No.
Okay.
It was for the teachers. It was 2 months while you work, and when they closed down, you didn't get anything. When they opened up for the next 7 months, you get paid. It was 2 and 7. And now as a principal, I was getting paid 12 months continuously. But for the teacher only received pay while working. And that was 2 months in the summer. When we closed down for the school children to pick cotton or whatever, they didn't get anything. They had to wait until they start back, and then they would be paid the other. It's 2 months in the summer, 7 months in the fall. So I changed the culture of Eastern Arkansas while I was there by changing that to a straight 9-month school year. After we abolished the split term in Clarendon, the other districts in Eastern Arkansas followed suit and went from a split to a regular term. And while I was recruited in Helena, West Helena, and Forest City, I was interviewed for both of those positions. I turned the one down in Forest City and accepted the one in West Helena, which was an elementary school. And from West Helena, I spent 7 years there and was recruited to Little Rock. And I came to Little Rock in 1975. I had been the only Black state president of the Arkansas Association of Elementary Schools. And while at a meeting, the superintendent of schools in Little Rock saw me and heard me make a presentation and recruited me to Little Rock. And from Little Rock, I worked in Pulaski County and back into Little Rock, where I retired in 1993.
Well, let's go this route. Let's talk about 1975. You moved to Little Rock. And I know you retired in 93.
Yes.
Okay. So let's start right there in Little Rock, 75 in Little Rock.
Yes, I was assigned to Carver Elementary School. And strangely enough, when I was in Clarendon, it was Carver High School, elementary and high school, grades 1 through 12. But in Little Rock, there was only pre-kindergarten through 6th grade. And that's where I started in Little Rock. Worked in Little Rock, then I went to Pulaski County, and then they would ask me to come back to Little Rock. My last 12 years were in Little Rock, where at Wakefield Elementary School, where I retired in 1993. All along the way, I was active in the Elementary Principals Association, the Arkansas Association of Educational Administrators. That was principals and superintendents and supervisors and so on. And I received several awards during that time, including the Principal of the Year in 1974-75 and several other awards that the plaques speak for themselves on my wall. And when I retired, my wife and I did quite a bit of traveling. And after she passed, I did additional travel. She and I traveled extensively. And then when she passed, she didn't get a chance to visit as I did about 13 countries in Europe, Australia, New Zealand, other places, Hawaii, and all these others. I call them side trips. My last two trips were Greece and Spain. And of course, I celebrated my birthday in Paris some years before. So when I retired, I got involved in the Retired Teachers Association, rising from the ranks of just a member to president of the Arkansas Retired Teachers Association of Arkansas. And after that, I served as legislative chair of the state of Arkansas and the pension roundtable of the National Education Association. So I contributed a little bit, and I've learned a lot along the way. And since retirement, I've just been involved with the Teachers Association, both on the local level, the district level, as well as the state level.
Now, you on the board as well, right?
After I was on the board of the Arkansas Retired Teachers Association, but I also made history because of another service that I rendered. There are 15 members of the Arkansas Teacher Retirement System. That's where the money comes from. I check each month. 15 members, and only one had been a minority in its history, but the former superintendent of Little Rock, who recruited me to Little Rock, retired from the Arkansas Teacher Retirement System, and asked me to run in his place. And running against two white superintendents and one black female from Camden, Arkansas, I was able to beat all three of them without a runoff. After the end of that 6-year term, I ran again and had one challenger, a teacher from Malvern. I received 76% of the vote, and she received 24%. So I served my 6-year term out again, and that made 12 years. In 2022, I decided not to run again. And so that is in a nutshell, story of my career. Being recruited to these principalships, I suppose, speaks for itself. I didn't apply for any of them.
Wow. Okay. All right. We'll stop right there. We would like to thank Dr. Black for joining us. And if you would, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you, and God bless.